The fall of the Zionist House of SAUD plus possible coup attempt in Russia. World events are quickly coming to a head, with a major move against the House of SAUD and a possible coup attempt this weekend against the Russian President Vladimir Putin, say Pentagon, CIA, and FSB sources. First, the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi is part of the move to remove the Zionist Satanic House of SAUD from control of Saudi Arabia and Middle East oil, according to Pentagon and CIA sources. The operation is also aimed at grabbing funds to keep the bankrupt U.S. afloat, CIA sources say. This is how the CIA sum up the situation. The U.S. Treasury is holding between $3 to $5 trillion of Saudi Arabia's petrodollars, which have been accumulating since the 90s, which is how petrodollar sleight of hand began. These trillions have been confiscated and will not be returned. The same for the thousands of tons of gold stored in Credit Suisse and USB Bank in Switzerland, which was owned by Saudi Arabia. It has been confiscated as well. It is a game over financially for the Zionist Khazarian House of SAUD. This really is game, set, march. It is also no coincidence the Khashoggi incident happened just as the head of the CIA in Turkey, Pastor Andrew Brunson, was released from Turkish prison. The longer-term scenario will be for Turkey to resume control of its former holdings in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, while Israel becomes a Jewish autonomous zone under Turkish protection, the sources say. As a preliminary step, Saudi clone Prince Mohammed bin Salman may be purged, as Saudi Arabia is facing Western sanctions and boycotts in a direct run for an attack on Israel when 11 September documents are declassified. Pentagon sources add. We will discuss this further below, but as this newspaper was about to be published, we got urgent communications from SSB sources about an attempted coup this weekend against the Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to the sources, a big move against the autonomous Donbas region of Ukraine by Rothschild forces led to a huge dispute inside the Russian General Staff with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, backing former FSB head and Secretary of Security Council of Russia Nikolai Patrushev as the new Russian leader, the sources say. However, Putin was evacuated from Moscow, supported by 3 patriotic generals, and the coup was averted with the help of Russian special forces, the sources say. This preliminary intelligence may be linked to the following report from CIA sources claiming that the various world leaders have been called to Russia for a meeting with Putin, but no one came from the USA. They were not allowed any representations whatsoever. What is Putin planning with the rest of the world leaders? The reported coup attempt coincides with the sudden upsurge of fighting in eastern Ukraine, as reported by multiple regional news outlets. The Russian sources say a landing by 5,000 troops along the border of the eastern Ukraine in Russia was repelled. The fighting in Ukraine was part of the attempt to provoke a NATO attack on Russia to distract the Russian attention from the coup attempt. We have contacted the White Dragon Society FSB sources for further confirmation, but none has been received as this newspaper went public. We will provide emergency updates as required. In any case, the Rothschild may have tried to overthrow Putin as a result for the dire situation facing their slave colony Israel. Here, Satan-worshipping Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is under attack on multiple fronts. His wife, Sarah Netanyahu, began her criminal trial on charges of fraud on Sunday. Benjamin Netanyahu has been questioned by police 12 times relating to various fraud investigations and is expected to be arrested soon, Mossad sources say. Furthermore, U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley resigned because of the corruption charges that she herself will be charged with for her part in Benjamin and Sarah Netanyahu fraud cases. CIA sources say. It seems that she will be charged very soon with corruption for diverting $20 million of U.S. aid funds that were earmarked to help the Palestinian people. We both know that U.S. aid is a CIA-front organization, they say. This is how Pentagon sources sum up the situation. The purge begins with Israeli Duke Nikki Haley being booted off the UN. whose departure is long overdue, while her preferred replacement, globalist Gomenite Dina Powell, is rejected. The Russian troops using electronic warfare in Syria have also shut down all Israeli Air Force activities, as reported by the Mossad-linked site Dika. This may have something to do with the grounding of entire U.S. fleet of F-35 fighters worldwide. This may be also why the reported coup attempt was engineered against Russia in a last-ditch effort to save the satanic government of Israel. However, this last-gasp attempt by the ZIONIST to start World War III will not be allowed to succeed, Russian, US, and Chinese military sources all say. Getting back to the Saudi situation, we know from our CIA sources that MSB was installed in power by Israeli special forces. There's also a very strong possibility he was killed last April when gunfight was reported in his palace. Last week, for example, Bloomberg News published what they claim was an exclusive interview with him, but the person shown as MSB bears little resemblance to the one seen in public before April. We also note that the possibly murdered journalist Jamal Khashoggi was a nephew or cousin, depending on the source, of arms dealer of Iran, Contra fame. Adnan Khashoggi once sent a honey trap to this writer. While I avoided the honey and thirst trap, she did give me a book in French from Khashoggi that claimed Jews actually originate in Egypt. In other words, he appeared to be trying to warn me they were none other than the sad worshipping high cults. Japanese sources also informed the US last week their research had shown that people calling themselves Jews were divided into Satan-worshipping and God-worshipping factions. This brings us back to the last week report from various sources of Hillary Clinton and other members of U.S. elite carrying out gruesome satanic sacrifices and rituals. Please record that the Ark of Baal was on display in Washington, D.C. as the fight to install Supreme Court Judge Brett Kavanaugh was reaching its climax. Jonathan Card, author of the book The Paradism, has pointed out that Baal was the god of power, fertility, and child sacrifice, according to this website and many other sources. The same Ark of Baal was being on display in front of various gatherings of globalists, including the World Government Summit in UAE in 2017. It may be just a coincidence, but last week as the globalist World Bank and IMF held their annual summit meeting in Bali, Indonesia, the island was struck with an earthquake. As the CIA sources commented, there are no coincidences in my world. Even if the earthquake was just a coincidence, like the lightning that struck the Vatican as Pope Francis was being selected, there can be no doubt that the good guys are winning. On this front, our Pentagon sources wish to share the following two pictures of Melania Trump with our readers with the following explanation. It may be the Red October, but Melania wears white hats in Kenya and Egypt. She wears a white pith helmet in Kenya to warn China about its colonial ambitions for Africa, and wear a white fedora in front of a pyramid to declare war on the Cable. As usual, there's a lot we cannot report yet in order to protect our operations, but rest assured that evil is being systematically removed from this planet.